Hello everyone, this is Adrian Enriquez from ADAPT 5030 Broadway, and welcome to the very first class of the Rights Education series. Here we will be learning about our rights, how to exercise them, and how to advocate for ourselves and others. For the month of April, our focus will be on individual rights, HIPPA, and rights for people supported. And for today's class, we will be learning about your right to access and control your own money. The more you understand how to use money, the more empowered you will be to make your own choices, which is why today we will go over why it's important to control your own money, where your money can come from, what your money can be used for, and how you can manage money to be more independent. So what is the right to control money? Simply put, you have the right to manage your own money and to get help and support to do so if needed. What this means is that no one can make financial decisions for you. No one can decide how your money will be spent. It does not mean, however, that you will be on your own. On the contrary, you reserve the right to get help when it comes to managing your own money. Why is this right important? Ultimately, your money is your possession. In other words, it belongs to you. You reserve the right to use your monthly income for your basic needs like food, clothing, and shelter, and you also reserve the right to use any other allowances for additional purchases. You should be able to make decisions about how your money is used, and you should be able to save your money when you don't want to spend it. You should have control over what belongs to you. This is your right. But having control over your own finances also comes with responsibility. For instance, if you manage your own money, you should know what your monthly income is and where it's coming from. You should know when and how to access your money if you need it. You also need to know how to make a budget, how to save, and how to spend responsibly. If you don't know how to do any of these or don't know where to start, if you feel that you can do these things but have not done so yet, or if you believe that you are being prevented from fulfilling these responsibilities, you can ask, act, and advocate. In other words, you can ask people you trust for information, you can act if you can help yourself, or you can advocate for your own rights if you need to. We'll go over these in more detail later on. Remember, the more you understand how to use your money, the more empowered you will be to make your own choices. So now that we've covered the reasons why you should exercise the right to control your money, let's quickly go over a few details. Let's start with income. Your monthly income is how much money you get per month. In other words, it's how much money is coming in. It can come from different sources such as SSI or Supplemental Security Income, Social Security benefits, pension benefits from a parent, wages or tips if you work, and you can also get money in the form of gifts from friends or loved ones or from other non-salaried work. On the other end, you also have expenses. Your expenses are what you spend money on every month. In other words, it's money coming out. Generally, people have to spend money on food and clothing. Most people have to pay rent and have to pay to travel from place to place. Some may even have to pay for doctor visits and for insurance bills. You may also pay cable bills or cell phone bills. Both income and expenses can be a handful to keep track of at times, but it is important to keep track of them nonetheless. Remember, expense is money going out. Income is money going in. Your expenses should not be larger than your income. This is the golden rule of budgeting, but we'll get to that later on. Before we get ahead of ourselves, let's talk about keeping and accessing money. The easiest and most convenient way to store money is by keeping it as hard cash. In other words, in the form of bills and coins. You can keep cash either in a safe or lockbox, hidden away in a nondescript container, keep it with someone you trust, or you can keep it on your person in a wallet. This is convenient because cash is accepted almost everywhere, and you can access your money easily. However, keeping money this way carries some risk. Cash can be easily stolen or misplaced. Another option is to keep money in a bank. If you go to a bank, set up an account and deposit money in your account, the bank will give you a bank card, also known as a debit card, which gives you access to your money. There are some benefits to this method. For instance, you can use your debit card as a form of payment in most stores. You can also use your debit card on ATMs to withdraw money from your bank in the form of cash. There are some downsides with this method as well, as debit cards can still be stolen. Banks also charge fees for keeping your money for you, and some ATMs charge fees if you withdraw from them. Remember, the two most common ways to keep money is by keeping it as cash or by keeping it in a bank. Now that you have basic information on how to access your money, let's talk about budgeting, which is the most direct way of controlling your money. Simply put, budgeting is when you create a plan for how much you need to spend, how much you want to spend, and how much you want to save. Before you can start creating your budget, you first need to know your income or how much you get per month. Let's say for instance that I made $1,000 a month. Once you know what your income is, list all the things that you've spent money on. In other words, your expenses last month. This will give you an idea of what you'll be spending money on for the upcoming months. Afterwards, list all your expenses for next month. Remember that the golden rule of budgeting is that your expenses should not be larger than your income. In this example, my total expenses is around $1,030, so it's larger than my income. To fix that, I need to cut down on things that I don't really need. If I'm looking at it, I do have to get groceries and I need to pay the cable bill and the car bill, so I can't touch those. I don't want to touch my savings, and I definitely don't want to touch my emergency fund, just in case of emergencies. I do need to get my laundry done, so I can't touch those either. But I can cut down on my personal spending. So if I take away $50 from that, my budget should be fine. My total now comes up to $980, which leaves me with about $20 left over. This is just a basic example, of course, and in real life, it can get a lot more complicated. The important thing to remember is that the more you understand how to use your money, the more empowered you will be to make your own choices. To recap, in today's lesson, we talked about how you have the right to manage your own money and to get help and support if needed. We touched on how you have the right to make decisions on how your money is used and how your money is spent. We talked about how having control over your money comes with responsibilities, such as knowing where your money is coming from, where to keep it, and how to access it. We talked about how controlling your own money also means that you have to learn how to budget, how to save, and how to spend responsibly. We also briefly covered two ways we keep and access money, and we went over a simplified budgeting example. For the next lesson, we will be discussing budgeting in depth. We will also be talking about saving money and spending money responsibly. Once again, this has been Adrian Enriquez from 5030 Broadway, and thank you for joining us today.